Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about um, choice and situation. In fact, I'm going to talk about the lost synergy between the two of them. This being something that is extremely practical and I think would be very helpful for people's mental and emotional health, as well as just a good general thing to know about life. Now, it's often said that you cannot um, really understand something until you experience it. When you experience it, then you can form an opinion on it. But how do you experience something that you've never had? Then becomes the question. So, this is best, I think, described in a situation where you can see it play out as a teenager applying for a job at McDonald's or some fast food place. Generally, this is already a job that's going to have the majority of people being in a younger position. Now, the child or the teenager themselves is kind of nervous about the job. They have some skills, they put everything on their resume and they apply. Hopefully, their friend's already there, so it's easier for them to get in, and they get their first job. Now, after getting your first job, you feel a little bit better. Yeah, you've had a job. You kind of sit in there a little bit. Now you want to move up. And then you have to do again, build up all that experience you've had. That essentially builds confidence in asking for the position. And after all those things have accumulated, you might ask your boss for a raise or a promotion. You get that promotion. Again, you're still a teenager. You're feeling really good about it. And you're moving up in this kind of style of job, and then now you want to apply for your job. You went to university or college now, and you now have to apply for, let's say, an adult job. Uh, in this sense, you're still nervous. You don't think you're going to get that job. You can't talk about it like you've already had that job. And this is very easy for the interviewer to see. The person who's experienced it has for example, the person who's already had an adult job comes through that interview more relaxed. The person who's not had one is more nervous. Why are they more nervous? Because they don't have the experience behind asking for that job, behind the hard work it took to maintain that job, and what's going to be asked of them in this new job. So, this, I think, is a very easy real life way to see the difference between experiencing it and just thinking about it. So when you think you have it and you don't have it, lots of things can fall apart under the responsibility of that new thing, that new job. But if you've already done it, you have the confidence, then a lot of things are not going to be new to you, therefore easy to deal with when they come up, and the employer will see that and say that they hired the right person. So all these experiences that are kind of a quick way to say, let's say, multiple realities surrounding one singular topic that you've kind of lived through and come to conclusions about and then built off of. Let's say that is the experience. And in this way, let's switch the round that we're applying it to. Let's apply it to something a little bit more trickier to see, let's say, relationships. So we might ask ourselves, in time, we're generally going to know somebody who's been in a bad relationship and stayed for longer than they should have. It was easy for us to see why it was bad, but why was it not easy for that person to see that it was not okay? Essentially, it's the exact same thing. They cannot pick an option of getting out of that relationship if that option has not previously existed, in the sense that the person has not experienced that option before. Meaning, if I grew up in a family where staying together is the most important thing, and this is my first relationship, then I don't really see the option of breaking up. And you can say, well, somebody could just tell you you should break up because that's what you should do. Yeah, what you're pointing to is the immediate action, but I have no experience in breaking up. I don't know when is the right time to do it. I don't know when I should say enough is enough. I don't know if the person actually truly does hate me. I don't know that. Are they doing mean things to me because they mean to, or they don't mean to and they're doing mean things to me? They say the right things, but sometimes they don't do the right actions. Uh, you don't have experience with that. So that option of just breaking up does not exist until you've accumulated a certain amount of experience to then say, well, this is not good for me, and I know this for a fact because, and then that standard is made. And then in the next relationship, you will not tolerate this style of, let's say, unpleasantry in that area. Now, what you'll do is you run into a different challenge in a different area that you have no experience about, and then you'll have to, again, build up the information so that you can make an actual choice about the situation. But again, it takes accumulation of knowledge for this to happen. So I think what's really important about this concept is that people can easily be in situations where they have no background knowledge on that particular scenario. And because they have no background knowledge, they don't know what decision to make. And because this decision they've never experienced, they haven't experienced the whole kind of going through that process, then how can we essentially mandate the fact that they should know something they've never experienced and then do that action appropriately and correctly throughout that process of going through the action? Because it's not just saying the word. Saying the word is essentially the easiest part, but then backing it up with reasons and making that decision to stay and doing it for the right purpose, all these things again are unknowns. So it's ultimately trying to make things that are very uncertain certain, and the only way to do that is to go through the experiences, have your own experience, and essentially group that maybe with other experiences that other people have told you about. That's why most people have families to talk to, counselors, these kind of things, a grouping of experience, making the decision a lot easier. And therefore we have choice, right? So to be able to have choice, you must go through the experiences. To be able to have an experience, you're going to have to go through a whole bunch of tough stuff to come to that mainly, or until the point where you are wise about that thing and no longer need to go through every experience to have your own position on that. Ultimately, there's another side of that coin, is after you go through your initial experiences about this one thing that made you come to the understanding of the choices that you're making, there's also the fact that you did that from the understanding of the first time of you going through it. Okay, so this means that you can't necessarily keep the same choices and make the same decisions as life progresses, because the situations can look very similar to old things but have a total different reality behind them, one that you have not experienced. So if we just go with our old rules and move them into the future, we then start distorting the process of life happening, and we start making decisions before the experience is there to quantify it. And this is why some situations, like respect in some point, can be extremely, let's say, projected onto a situation. You know, I care about you, but you disrespected me. And because you disrespected me, this means that you don't think of me as anything at all. And because you don't think of me as anything at all, I shouldn't care about you. That's a whole lot of seemingly non-related conclusions. But you can see going through a younger period of life how it would be easy to come to those conclusions. In adult life, it's a lot more, let's say, full-bodied, for lack of a better word. And we have to be able to see more of life and come to greater conclusions and therefore experience things differently. So this is just the kind of lost synergy between choice and experience. Hopefully that kind of makes you think of life a little bit differently, and you can put this into application. And as you put this thing into application, you'll then gain your experience. And then after gaining that experience, you'll be able to come to new choices or decisions. So hopefully that's helpful. Have a great day.